Well, look, as fall runs into winter, it is going to be very soon slip and fall season. I think most people have some basic idea, or think they have some basic idea, of what to do if you slip and fall on someone else's property. And specifically, the question I'm addressing is, who do you sue? And I think most people's first thought here is sue the owner. To quote lovingly Lee Corso,
not so fast, my friend.
First, just because you fell on someone else's property doesn't mean you have to sue anybody. Let me get that out of the way. You trip over your own feet.
The president, we're wasting valuable time.
Just because it happened at a grocery store doesn't mean you get to sue the grocery store because you tripped over your own dang feet.
Not so fast, not so fast, not so fast. Yeah.
It's not as simple as if I fall on someone else's property, it's automatically their fault. You have to have an actual theory of liability of something they did wrong. But what I want to talk about today is people think that the person you sue is the owner, and often it is, but not because they're the owner. Often it's because they are the possessor. And that really is the first place to start. The person who owes you a duty to make sure that the place that you are doesn't have an unreasonable tripping hazard is the possessor of the real estate. And look, if you own your own single family home or whatever, you are the owner and the possessor. The distinction doesn't matter. But obviously for someone who's renting, or for a lot of these businesses, whether they're in a strip mall or even a freestanding business, the property is owned by someone different than who operates the store or who owns the premises. And it is the person who is in possession of the premises, not the owner as such, who owes you the first duty. You got to figure out who possesses. In a store, that's usually pretty easy, in as much as the name is on the store. You got to figure out what the corporate behind the scenes functionality is, who actually owns the local supermarket or big box retailer or whatever. Some of them are individually owned establishments, some of them are corporately owned. Sometimes you got to get a little bit of digging to figure out who the right person is. But look, possession is about control. Who's in control of the property, who has the right to control the property. If they're not exercising that control, but they have the right to control, they're still your first target here. It's the right to control that drives possession. Who is in possession of the real estate or the portion of the real estate where you fall? Sometimes that gets tricky. If it's an apartment building, maybe if you fall in the apartment, the possessor is the tenant. But what about the hallway, right? If you're in a mall and you're in one of the stores, there are still malls open, right? If you're in one of the stores, that store may be responsible. If you're out in the hallway or the more common areas of the mall owner or the mall operator, the possessor is responsible. It's not quite as simple as you think. Sometimes ownership and possession go together, but often they do not.